Before we get into today's topic, let's take a moment to talk about what deep conditioner that I'm using in my hair today. I am using the last couple of uses of the Miche Sparkling Cranberry Deep Conditioner. I will put a link to Miche in the description box. Not because you can get this conditioner, because it is indeed a special edition, so you can't get it. But if you're interested in Miche as a brand or other deep conditioners that are available from Miche, then that information will be down below. That being said, hello everyone, Kayla here, and this is What the Kink, a natural hair channel. Today, we're going to be talking about an interesting thing that I came across on Threads. I guess I would consider this de-journeying natural hair, where we're talking about why we refer to the natural hair journey as a journey, right? So I was scrolling on Threads and I came across this interesting post. Let me read it. So Marissa says, normalize not saying every Black woman wearing their natural hair is on a journey. Simple as that. Now, there were a couple of comments, and I thought the comments were very interesting because, after I read this, I opened it up and I had to go in there and see what the girls were saying. So, one person said, I'm glad you all are young enough not to have deep seated trauma associated with your hair. Folks 45 plus had a completely different, traumatizing, and sometimes violent experiences concerning their natural hair. So for them, it has been a journey of hard earned confidence. Now, somebody replied under that and said, I'm 47 and completely agree with her statement, especially in 2025. Woo, woo. Okay. Someone else said, I hate the phrase going natural. Like it's just our hair growing out of our head as is. We aren't going anywhere. And then there was another one said, thank you. I have no journey when I cut my hair. It's because I wanted to. When I grow it out, it's because I want to. This person said, right, because I'm on a journey to cutting this off. Fade me, please. Someone told me I was brave. Skull emoji. Like, okay, LMAO. And then someone commented on the original person commented on there said, what? Bro, that is so cringy. Person said, right, it's called natural for a reason. Ain't no MF journey. Exactly. Why can't we just be? No, for real, because I've been natural my whole life, Bookie. This just life, LOL. Thank you, love. They're actually locks, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this person was just replying to the other one above. Now this one was weird. They were like, wait, hold up. That's a thing? Now I wonder if that person lives under a rock, or maybe they're not into the natural hair world online, or I don't know. That's an interesting one. Anyway, so then I saw one that said, right, it should be normal anyway. So this one's like, right, LOL, we don't need to journey-ize. Everything is just hair. No shade to the women on an actual journey, though. And then, of course, we have our typical people who leave like one word and they're like, exactly, period. I totally agree. So the comments were, I would say, mostly leaning towards agreeing with her. And I felt like it was an interesting discussion to have in 2025 as well. And then, of course, we do have the person that was like, hey, I'm older. And it's a blessing that you guys aren't in this same position. But if people are older, I think they will get it. So the older girls that get it will get it. Side note, just for relevance of this discussion as far as how old people are, at the time that you guys will be viewing this, I will be 36 years old. So I am a little bit on the older end of things because a lot of people that are on here in the natural hair space, they're in their 20s and younger. So there you have it. So I think one thing we need to talk about is why we refer to the natural hair situation or things associated with natural hair as a journey in the first place. So I will say that in the 90s and the early 2000s, the attitudes towards natural hair, not the best. They were actually pretty negative. I think some good examples of this are if you watch old TV shows, or I hate to say old, but older TV shows, like if you watch A Different World, A Different World has Freddie on there, and Freddie is biracial and she wears her hair natural. I will say, as a natural, looking back at the show, because I rewatch A Different World every couple of years, I will say that Freddie, in her first 1 to 2 seasons, definitely seemed like she had damaged hair. And then it seems like in her third season, like they may have been curling her hair with a curling iron. But bottom line is, no one else is really wearing their hair like just out and loose except for Freddie. And throughout the show, she is constantly getting negative remarks related to her hair, or people are like, you need to brush your hair or comb your hair, or like threatening her with a comb. Or there was this one time where she was doing a temp agency like gig for Jaleesa, and she goes to the office where Whitley works, and she's answering the phones. She shows up and she has a blowout and a flat iron. I'm assuming maybe blowout, hot comb, something like that. Her hair is straightened. And it was after a joke from Jaleesa about, you need to brush your hair. She was like chasing after her with the brush. So it was very negative. Another show that is a little bit later on that timeline is Half and Half, right? Rachel True is on that show, and her character, Mona, also wears her hair out and curly and that kind of stuff. And again, the comments about Mona's hair are negative on the show. They are not positive. So this is the environment and a sign of the times of everything that was going on in the 90s and the 2000s. And back then, I can only really speak to the 2000s because, I mean, of course, I was natural in the 90s. I was a kid. But in the 2000s, I went natural. I returned natural. And I mean, that was really a time of everyone figuring it out. Okay. We were figuring out what products to use. The products were not like as available as they are now. So sometimes people were like going off label and using products in a different way than what they were intended for, or people were just making up stuff out of the kitchen and putting it on their hair. And then we were trying to figure out the techniques. Now you can pretty much get on YouTube and find a million different ways to style your natural hair. But back then it was like, I don't really know all the styles, or then you would know a style and now you're trying to learn how to do it. And then what products do you need to use for that particular style to maximize it and get the best results and all of that. So we were doing a lot of learning in these early stages as well. We had a lot of people back then that were transitioning. And because relaxers had ruled the day, right? It was like a normal rite of passage to, when you hit a certain age, get a relaxer. So now we have all these people transitioning. So that was a whole ordeal. I myself transitioned for a year and a half. So there was a whole lot of things that I had to learn how to do just to manage the two textures, because I really wasn't into big chopping. I had always had hair that was armpit length around, or like slightly shorter or something like that. So I wasn't ready to have short hair, especially short hair that I didn't know anything to do with. So I transitioned for quite a while. And a lot of other people were doing the same thing. So there was a lot of content of people learning how to do that. And then, of course, just the fact that you are journeying from point A, relaxed, to point B, natural. And in between, you're dealing with something that is unique, which is transitioning. You also had a lot of people that were big chopping, and there was that whole journey of learning to accept yourself with short hair while navigating that negative environment. So people are already negative because you have natural hair, but now you're a woman with short hair. Okay. So they're like, oh, why you got this short hair? Is it because you can't grow no hair? People tend to be very negative. Like when people are insulting you, one of the things they're going to come at first is, and that's why your hair's short. That's why you got 2 scoops of hair on your head. So all of that was at play as to why a lot of things associated with natural hair have that journey tacked to it. But I do feel like now we are, especially I'd say within the last 5 years, okay, we are seeing a lot of non-journey cases of natural hair and experiences with natural hair. For one, transitioning from relax is not really much of a thing anymore. So a lot of these young naturals, they are not coming from being relaxed. They maybe had damaged natural hair and they are going to non-damaged natural hair, or maybe they've just had natural hair the entire time. And they are just existing, and that is the default. I can tell you right now, my daughter, I'm not going to relax her hair. There's no need. We know what we're doing. I'm not going to relax her hair. So she's never going to have that experience unless she chooses on her own, maybe college, adulthood, something like that, to relax her hair and see what that's about. I'm not going to relax her hair though. So she is more than likely not going to experience that part of a journey. We also are seeing more people who are keeping their hair a certain length. my mom, okay? My mom typically keeps her hair above her ears. There was like 2 seconds where she decided that she wanted to grow her hair longer. She actually was starting to get it longer. And then she went to the hairstylist and was like, please cut this. And now she's back to the shorter look. And almost every single time I see my mom, she has the same length of hair. She maintains that look. That is what she wants to do. And then even myself, I am now maintaining a certain look. This is the look that I want to have. For this time being, this is what I look like. I am not on a journey to grow my hair out to get a different look. We are in the end point. We are in the destination right now. There's also overall, I think, less trial and error happening. The products, they are plentiful. They are better. We're not trying to figure that part out. And then as far as tutorials and how to style natural hair, you really don't have to try to figure that out either. Somebody has already done it. Someone has already pioneered that. It's here on a YouTube video. Or now you can go to hairstylists that specialize in natural hair and be like, yeah, twist me up real quick. There's more of those available. So either you can figure your hair out very easily or someone else can do your hair for you. Like my mom, she gets her hair done in a wash and go frequently at the salon. She does know how to do her hair at home. She does do her hair at home frequently, but let her be going out of town and she goes to the salon to get a wash and go. Okay. So like we have options now. So there's less of that journey of trying to figure it out. So some of my just general thoughts on this. I do have a dog in this fight because I have de-journeyed my natural hair. I am no longer on a natural hair journey. I am, as I said earlier, not seeking to gain length in my hair. I have a look that I cut my hair directly to that look, and that is the look that I wanted. I also have been natural since 2011. You can do the math. So I know how to do my hair. I'm not trying to figure that out. I know what products work. I learned how to master a wash and go because that's primarily the main hairstyle I can do at this length. And there's really nothing, I may play with products, but it's not from a point of need. It's a point of fun. So there's not really a journey happening there. And I almost feel like the reference of the natural hair journey as a journey, a lot of that is habit. I think we just used to calling it natural hair journey. Like the word goes together to the point where, you say something enough times and it just doesn't have the original meaning anymore. I really think that. I think sometimes they're like, oh, natural hair journey, going on your journey. But I don't think people are actually talking about a person going from point A to point B because due to the environment that I've talked about in this video, there's less meaning. There's less meaning in that now. So I want you to comment down below. Have you de-journeyed your natural hair? And overall, do you think that as a natural hair community, we are ready for non-journey natural hair to de-journey the entire experience of going natural? I don't know. If you enjoyed this video, this is the second one of these videos that I am doing. So I'm going to link to the very last one I did about the Abby Young method. And then I'm going to do the playlist that I created for this. Yes, a playlist. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. If so, definitely leave me some suggestions for other things you want me to talk about because I'm having fun. And with that said, subscribe, invite me to your subscriptions page. I know some of y'all don't go there. And I will talk to you in the next one.